What's up guys, Kyle here again, and today we are going to check out the Revv 100P. Let's do it. Alright, hope you guys are doing great out there today. If this is your first time here at my channel, my name is Kyle, and what I do is I take awesome high gain amps, cabinets, overdrives, guitars, I record them with a simple SM57 setup, and I give you guys the unprocessed audio. So if you're into E-standard thrash riffs, drop C hardcore riffs, and guys who hoard gear like it's going out of existence, you're in the right place. Consider hitting the like button on the way out if you like this video, and subscribing to the channel so you can catch the next one. Thanks! Alright guys, so hope everybody's doing great out there today. As I said, we are checking out the Revv 100P. Now what this amp is kind of a stripped down version of the Generator 120. The Generator 120 has 4 channels. It's got a clean, a crunch, a purple gain channel, and a red gain channel, all with their own individual EQ controls. So the 100P is meant to be kind of a more cost-effective version of either the P purple channel or the R red channel. We've got the 100P here. So over here on the amp, you have your clean and crunch, which share an EQ on this channel. And then where we're gonna stay for the entirety of this demo, because this is Belligerent Amateur Central and we don't do no cleans, we're gonna be over here on the purple high gain channel. So the Revv amps really have their own special voicings. It's kind of hard to compare them to anything else because while they can kind of share similarities with other amps, they really kind of have their own thing going on, especially just the way that the mids are voiced on both the red and the purple circuits that these amps feature as far as high gain channels. The purple is a little bit more akin to like your EVH 5150 type tone, whereas the red channel is kind of more like a Bogner Uberschall Mesa dual rectifier type thing. But again, you'd be kind of hard pressed to mistake one for the other. The Revv has a very signature thing going on in the mids, which I really think makes the amp stand out. So the intro clip that you guys heard, I was playing my LTD MH1000 with a Seymour Duncan JB in the bridge. I had the Electric Eye Mud Killer engaged as well as the All Pedal Slammer Eye. I'm using the Slammer Eye as kind of a clean boost with an EQ in front to kind of shape the guitar tone going into the amp a little bit more. So we're gonna turn that stuff off. We're gonna put all of the EQ controls at noon, including the presence and the depth on the power section. We're gonna turn the contour switch down, bright and fatter off. We're gonna turn the gain down, and we're gonna start in the irregular aggression mode, and we're just gonna kind of go through this amp and see what kind of tones that we can get out of it. So with that being said, we are on the purple channel now. Gain is almost all the way off. Even like that, with everything at noon, including the presence and depth, the amp is pretty well balanced. That's kind of like a nice crunchy little classic rock tone that you could get away with. All right, so definitely not bad. It actually does kind of remind me of a JCM 800 on low gain with the treble turned down a little bit. So let's turn the presence up. Let's turn the mids up. Honestly, that sounds great as is if you guys are going for like those lower and mid gain tones. Considering that this is supposed to be a high gain channel, to be able to get that out of it, pretty cool. Let's turn the gain up to about 10 o'clock. All right, so we've already got a decent amount of gain going on at just 10 o'clock. No boosts, Let's pump that up even more. And just like that, guys, we got the gain at about 11 o'clock. We haven't adjusted any of the EQ settings at all. And I already have a tone that I feel like is pretty close to something that I would want to use for live or recording. Pretty impressive. I always think that an amp that sounds good with all the controls at noon is usually a good sign that you're not going to have to fight the amp too much to get what you want out of it. With everything at noon and only having to make little adjustments from there, that's usually a good sign of a well-designed, well-voiced amp. Let's go ahead and kick on that bright switch. It's already nice and tight. Typically, I like boosts out in front of my amps, but much like my Revv Generator 120 Mark III, that amp doesn't really need a boost on the purple channel. It's nice and tight and saturated and reacts the way that I would want it to under my hands. So this one, kind of doing the same thing. Sounds awesome. Let's get a little bit more gain on there. Let's pump up the depth a tad and the bass a tad. That sounds awesome, guys. Just a tad dry for my taste. Gain up at 1 o'clock. So turning the gain up has definitely kind of increased the low mid voicing on the amp. Let's actually back the bass back down just a tad. Get the mids up a little bit. Presence up a little bit and treble down. Also, the note clarity here, especially with no boost out front, we're getting super tight percussive palm mutes, tons of clarity. I mean, there's not really anything that is sticking out to me where I'm like, I don't like that. I want to change that. I would like a slight bit of compression out front just for my personal taste because I'm so used to playing everything with a boost that it just helps, especially a dude like me who's, you know, not that great at guitar. Having a little bit of compression out front of the amp really helps make it feel a little bit easier to play because this amp is, for as high gain as it is a little bit dry feeling in comparison to something like a 5150. So let's kick on the Electric Eye Mud Killer. This is a really good sounding overdrive, by the way. And let's see how that sounds. I'm gonna back the gain down just a tad to noon. All right, so that really focused it up quite a bit. Let's actually add some depth. Let's add some bass. All right, so that sounds awesome. The amp sounds really good with an overdrive out front. I personally like it. I'm gonna turn, whoa! I'm gonna turn the bright off because I personally think that the amp sounds better with an overdrive out front when you have the bright switch off. Kind of balances those high frequencies that tend to get accentuated by putting a overdrive in front of the amp. So with that off, the tone is a little bit more smooth on top, but it still has got the mids just in the right place to really punch through a mix nicely. Okay, so let's turn that overdrive off. I'm going to bump this over to blue aggression. Ah, this amp sounds so good. Let's kick that contour up, see what that does. That definitely pushes the mid focus of the amp up a little bit. All right, so now I think we need that bright switch. So the blue seems to be the most tame of the aggression settings on the amp. The red is where you get more compression, more gain, and it seems to focus things up a little bit, so. That sounds gnarly. Back to the normal mode. Honestly, the regular mode just is my favorite. That's where the amp, in my opinion, sounds the most natural. Let's also kick that fat switch on, kick the bright off, kick that overdrive back in. Contour is still in the up position. All right, I think that's my favorite tone that I've gotten out of this amp so far. I'm gonna kick the bass up a little bit more, gain up just a tad, and the mids will roll back just a tad. Oh, that is super fluid. It's pretty modern sounding. I really feel like those mids are gonna sit great in a mix. All right, I am gonna try engaging the bright switch because it's missing just a little bit of top end sizzle that I normally like out of my amp. So let's hear how that sounds. Man, I think I'm pretty much there. That sounds really good to me. Really loving how that sounds, guys. I'm really enjoying playing this right now. Let's flip that contour back down. That sounds nasty too. It just shifts the mids lower and gives it more of a modern tone. Clarity on especially on the upper strings, man. It just rings so clean. This amp sounds great. All right, let's get some drop C riffs going and then we'll call it a day. Okay guys, I have my Gibson Les Paul Studio with the stock 490 AT pickup in the bridge. Drop C, let's hear how that sounds. Okay guys, this thing seriously sounds incredible. I'm gonna turn the fat switch off. I'm gonna turn the bright switch off. We're gonna go over to the blue aggression mode. My guitar doesn't want to tune. Amp sounds ridiculous, guys. I'm going to go over to the red aggression mode now. The red aggression sounds really good for the downtune stuff because the compression kind of tightens everything up, adds to the punch of the lower frequencies. Dude, I'm digging this. And as you can see, I've got the bass turned up a little bit just to add some low end, but the treble and the mids are basically right at noon. Presence and depth aren't turned up anything crazy. Like, it's just an easy amp to dial in. I feel like if you stray too far from these settings, turn the treble down, it has quite a bit of an effect, even just at like, 10:30, 11 o'clock, but you bump that bright switch in and that kind of hits those higher treble frequencies. So that's another alternative. The presence seems to be focused, I don't know, somewhere very close to the treble, so they almost seem like they're adjusting kind of similar frequencies, so I'd kind of almost like to see the presence frequency bumped up a little bit to get a little bit more top end sizzle out of it, but yeah. Alright guys, that's going to do it for me today on the Revv Generator 100P. Now this amp has a lot of functions that I didn't go over. I really just wanted to do a tone demo of the main channel of the amp for like the metal and the hardcore stuff. There's a lot of great features built into this amp. If you guys are curious about that, you really want an amp that can just do so many things on top of having an awesome, modern, and unique voicing for the high gain stuff. Go ahead and jump on Revv's website and read up on what these amps have to offer, because I will tell you that they offer a lot of features that most amps are not going to give you. So there are multiple things that really set Revv apart from the crowd. I'm really enjoying this 100P. The Generator 120 that I have sounds almost identical to this thing and gives me the red channel too. So otherwise, if I didn't have that amp, this thing would be going nowhere. This thing sounds incredible. So hope that was helpful for you guys. What did you hear on your end that I did not hear on mine? I'm really curious to see if there's anything that you guys noticed that I didn't comment on. Please put it down in the comments and I'll meet you down there to chat about it. Again, if you liked the video, hit the like button on the way out. Consider subscribing. Down in the description are all my support links, including my Sweetwater affiliate links, my Patreon, Facebook group, Discord server, all that stuff. So if you want to support the channel, or if you just want to come hang out in an awesome community full of gear nerds where we talk about amps pretty much all day long, consider going down there and checking those links. Thanks for watching. Kyle here again. We'll see you guys next time.